Hello and welcome. It is Friday, the last day of Free Case Week, and here's one that I have been kind of putting off because I knew it was going to be crazy hard. And this is Joker Poker by Grant Pitarys. It is based on the game Balatro, which I don't even know if I'm saying that right. I've never played it. It also references Michael Jarman's Dicey Battle as a major inspiration. Uh, so that reference to inspiration, plus having kind of scanned through, oh whoops, I've still got some stuff in here, having scanned through the instructions, uh, was my like major red flag that this was going to be an insanely hard case. Um, so there's sort of poker style hands, but even more of them. There's, each hand has base points and multipliers and points levels and multipliers that can upgrade. Each card can individually have various special properties. Each hand is then enhanced by one or more jokers that have a whole list of weird adjustments they make to the game. And then each joker can also be a special edition, which is kind of more extra properties, and there's a whole kind of sequence to how these things follow out. So, long story short, I knew this would not make a good live solve because it would have been, you know, I mean, A, it would have been a very, very long video, and B, most of that video would have just been me trying to wrap my head around the instructions and then trying to debug when things went wrong. So, uh, I worked my way through this and got a working model. Um, and also made some kind of additions to the input data to help me with that. So what I've done is I've kept the additions to the input data, which I'll explain in a minute, and deleted the model, and I'm going to have a go at a rebuild. I think that I can do a rebuild in a plausible length of time for a video, but I guess you will know how long this video is, even though I at this moment do not. So let's go through it. We've got these are the different types of hands. So up to here are the kind of standard poker hands. But then you've got I guess, many decks mixed together. So you can also get five of a kind, a full house that's also a flush, or flush five of a kind, which is five of the same card. You don't have to identify what the hands are in this game. They're given. So that's one small concession. Um, so, depending on the hand type you have, I guess the whole thing is you have to work two separate things through a whole different set of adjustments. So you have points and you have a multiplier, and cards can change one or both of points and the multiplier. Jokers can change one or both of the points and the multiplier in lots of different ways. So we'll kind of build up a view of the points as we go through each card, as we go through each joker, we'll build up a view of the multiplier, and then at the end, we'll multiply the points by the multiplier, and that gives us the answer. Um, so each hand, except the first level. So you get the hand type, you get the cards. In later levels, you also get the jokers, and then you get the hand level. So the idea is that you start at this points and multipliers, and then for each level above one, you add this. So if it's a flush five of a kind, level three, then you'd say 160 plus you level it up twice, so from 1 to 2 to 3. So you'd add another 100, so you get 260. And here you'd start with 16 and add two threes, so you'd get 22 as the multiplier. So that'd be your multiplier before you start doing anything. And then you go through each of the cards. And so each card adds a certain number of points, which is for the number cards, it's that number. So like a two is worth two, three is worth three, and so on. Then Jack, Queen, King are all worth 10, and an ace is worth 11. Um, and then cards can have multipliers. So if it's sorry, can have adjustments. So if it's a card star B, then you get an extra 30 points. If it's a card star G, a glass card, then you get a 2x. You double your multiplier. If it's a star M, then you get plus 4 to your multiplier. And if it's stamped, then you play the card twice. With all the effects. So playing a card can trigger a joker. So you play the card a second time, get the points from it a second time, get any effects from it a second time, and get any joker effects a second time. This is complicated, but hopefully will become a little more clear as we get into it. And then the jokers can also be modified. So If it's foil, then you get an extra 50 points. If it's holographic, you get an extra 10 on your multiplier. If it's polychrome, you multiply your multiplier by 1.5. And these Joker edition effects all take place at the end. So first you go through the kind of the cards in your hand. Where are we? You go through the cards in your hand from left to right. So you'll say, okay, 10 adds 10 points, 8 adds 8 points, 8 adds 8 points, 10 adds 10 points, 10 adds 10 points. But, further down here, you'll say, I don't know, Jack adds 10 points, but because it's a B, it'll also add another 30. The R is a special card that's worth 50. 9 is worth 9, R is worth 50, 9 is worth 9, so on across. The other twist is that for the hand types that don't require all the cards, you only score the cards that are part of the hand. So for example, for 3 of a kind, you would score the 3 sevens, but you would not score the 3 and the queen. For 2 pair, you would score the 2 fours and the 2 aces, but not the jack. For the pair, you'd score the 2 kings, but not any of these. And for the high card, you'd only score the highest one, which here is the king, and not any of those. Okay, and then, as if that wasn't enough, you get to the jokers. So there's 2 different kinds of jokers. There's one which is on-scored card, which means, if you play a spade, you do this to the multiplier. If you play a diamond, you do this to the multiplier. If you play a face card, you do this to the multiplier. If you play a card with an odd rank, then you get extra points, etc. So those on-scored card, as you would expect, you read through the cards left to right, and the order does matter because if something doubles the multiplier and something else adds 3 to the multiplier, then the order of those cards makes a difference. So if you add 3 first and then double, then you'll get 2 times what you started with plus 6. If you double first and then add 3, you'll get 2 times what you started with plus 3. So those kick in as you score cards, and then there's what's called the independent ones, which means effects that take place at the end. So a plain joker always adds 4 to the multiplier. This kicks in if the hand contains a pair, if the hand contains a straight, if the hand contains a flush. This one gives you a multiplier for each uncommon joker, so there's a listing of rarities here. This one adds double the rank of the lowest ranked card in your hand to the multiplier, and this one adds the sell value of all the other jokers to the multiplier. So we're given a price here, and the sell value is half of that rounded down. So some of them are really weird. And that's, as though that wasn't enough, that's basically it. So I guess for me, the interesting thing about this is, there are so many variations. There are so many different hands. There are so many different ways that jokers can adjust that, and jokers can be adjusted themselves. The real challenge here is trying to write a solution to this that is not absurdly complex, that isn't just, if this, 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 and trying to make it a little bit more systematic. So part of the way that I approached that, and I've left them in, I'm just going to explain them here, was adding some extra data here. I also kind of converted all of these into tables. So here I looked at the number of cards used because the first challenge when you say, okay, these are your 5 cards, is to figure out how many of these actually score. And many of these, by their nature, require all 5 cards. So like a flush is 5 cards of the same suit. Flush has 5 of a kind, straight flush. All of these have to have all 5 cards. So you can just say all 5 cards are included. And the high card, by its nature, only includes 1 card, and only that one is based on the rank. But everything else is based on the count of occurrences. So like 4 of a kind, 3 of a kind, 2 pair, and pair is all about which ones occur more often. And so you can basically think of it as, if it's a 5, you take all the cards. If it's a 1, you take the card with the highest rank. And if it's anything in between, you take all the cards that occur more than once. And then the second thing is has pair. So there are of the independent jokers, there's like if the hand contains a straight, if the hand contains a flush, and this one that just always kicks in, you can just search for these things which I added in the hand name. But lots of hands contain pairs that don't mention pairs, like 5 of a kind, flush house, all contain pairs as well. So I just added a has pair column. And then over here, just to make this a little more structured, I added columns for how many points you add, what you add to the multiplier and what you multiply the multiplier by. So the default is, add no points, add no multiple, multiply the multiplier by 1. So keep everything the same. And then this one adds 50 points, this one adds 10 to the multiplier, this one multiplies the multiplier by 1.5. And I added a similar thing over here. There's columns for what do you do to the score, what do you do to the multiplier, what do you add to the multiplier, and what do you multiply the multiplier by, which just allows it to be a lot simpler than just, well, if it's this card, then add 4, and if it's this card, then add points, and if it's this card, blah, blah, blah. It kind of allows it to be a little more systematic. Okay. My hope that this would be a video of reasonable length is fading a little as I realize it's taken me more than 10 minutes just to introduce things. But let's build a model. And I'm going to start with example 7, but my hope is to make something that will work for the whole thing. So, okay. Actually, example 7 is not a good one to start with because that, okay, let's just get going. So, what did I just do? Okay, so I want to bring in all of this stuff. I'm going to get the cards separately. So let's just X match this against column B, and then we'll index on column G by $1. Okay, then I'm going to skip over with 5, so it's yes. Okay, so those are all the cards. Then the hand level, first joker, second joker, third joker. Actually, no, I want to do the jokers separately. That's going to be a different thing. Then I also want to bring in the hand information from here. So let's grab all of that. And let's XLOOKUP this in here, returning from all that stuff. And then I'm going to put my jokers here, and I'm going to index on whatever columns contain jokers, which is these 3 and P. My row number is going to be $B$2, and column number is going to be all of them. Right? Oh, sorry, $B$1. Nah. And then I'm going to wrap this in a 2-row, comma 3. So that means that if I go to one of the levels that has fewer jokers, this dynamic array will just be the right size. I'm also going to, because some of the earlier levels don't have jokers at all, I'm going to wrap it in an if error and just say null. And sorry, that's another addition I made. I added to the joker list just a null that matches everything but does nothing. Oh, and sorry, I don't think I mentioned this one. I have a card lookup table just from the text of the first character, because that way I can do a lookup when I just say left. So like all these numbers are text, and the 10 is just a 1 instead of being anything more than that. The R is worth 50, numbers are worth the numbers, then the face cards are worth 10, and the ace is worth 11. Okay, so that's my null. All right, so then for the jokers, I'm going to want to bring in various bits of information, which I think is pretty much these things. To call, and I guess, maybe I want the, no, just these is fine. Okay. So we're going to XLOOKUP this in jokers, joker, returning from jokers, independent. So put a dollar on that. And then from on card, and from score, from mult add, and from mult times. oh, sorry, I also need to explain this column. So for all the activated on cards, there are certain cards that they activate on. So I've just put those types in here. So basically the logic here is going to be if any of these characters appears in the card name, then this joker is activated on that card. So we've got one for each of the suits. This one activates on 10 and 4, but remember I've coded a 10 as just 1. This one on face cards is Jack, Queen, King. When I originally saw this, I thought an ace counted as a face card as well, but that threw me off. It does not. Then even ranked cards, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Odd ranked cards, so 3, 5, 7, 9, ace. And then various other combinations. Okay. So let's go back to example 7. Wow, what's going on? Oh, whoops. Yeah, sorry, I see the problem. So now what I've got is jokers with special properties, like star F and star P, and those do not appear. So what I need to do is take this and put it up here. Then I need to make this text before this, before star, if not found, this. Much better. Okay. Then plain name and addition can be text after this star, if not found, blank. So we've got a foil and a polychrome, I think. Anyway, okay. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, these all have to be hash. So $5 replace with $5 hash. Okay, that's better. So now what I want is to have this broken out into letters. So we're going to say mid of this by sequence, max of len of all of these, and just to avoid errors, I'm going to say max of the len of all of those and 1 for the case where there's no on-card ones, and number of characters is 1. So if any of these characters appears, it triggers Joker 1. If any of these appears, it triggers Joker 2, Joker 3. Okay. Now let's get our hands. And that is H2L. $B $1. Oh, sorry. Comma 0. Okay. So now question is to figure out which of these cards is played. Okay. So first thing I want to do is X match left of this against, from the card table, the card. Then I want to figure out how many of each of those there is, and one way I can do that is let CNum be that. Then I want to group by, I guess I need to call. No, I can do the to call over here since it'll, no, I'll do it over here. I'm going to group by to call of CNum, to call of CNum again, and rows, and that'll tell me of each of these there is 1. If I go, let's grab a different example. Here it says there's 1 1, 2 8s, and two 12s. 12 being queen in this case. Okie dokie. So then I can VLOOKUP. Yes, I said VLOOKUP. Ha 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 ha. Sorry, VLOOKUP CNum in that column 2, 0. And that will tell me how many times each of these occurs. So there are 2 queens, 2 8s, and 1 R. Okay, so now call that awk count, awkcnt. So now we're ready to do the logic. So we're going to say if, first we're going to say if it's an R, then it's always played. And second, we're going to say if it is a 0, which is just for the early level. I think it's just level 1. It only shows the cards that get used for the hand. So if it's 0, then it's not played. Otherwise, if cards used equals 5, then everything is 1. If cards used equals 1, then it's going to be minus minus CNum equals max of CNum. So in other words, if you're on a high card, then you'll just use the highest card, obviously. Otherwise, it's going to be minus minus awk count greater than 1. I just need a bracket on both sides of that. Oops, and then I need loads of closing brackets. So this is saying all of these get played because there's 2 pairs and then an R, which always gets played. Let's try something else. These all get played because it's a flush 5, fine. All right, I want some examples with, why is this looking weird? There we go. Okay, so let's see, high card pair. Okay, let's try 86, 87. So high card, your best card gets played and your rock gets played, good. 87, pair, this gets played and this gets played. Yep. 88. Yep, so 2 pair, they get played, but that doesn't get played. Okay, that all seems to be working. Now, the extra twist is the S, which I think is a stamped card. Why is this? Anyway, never mind. So a stamped card, yes, it is stamped, gets played twice. So for played, here I'm going to say blah, 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 blah. I'm going to multiply all this by if right of this equals S, then 2, otherwise 1. So now this card is going to get played twice. This one once, once, and this one never. Okay, so now we're going to have played cards. And we're going to have if sequence 2. Guess I'll just do 1, 2, be a little neater. If that is less than or equal to this, then this. And I'll just make that an ifs to error out the rest. And then I just want to flatten this out, but for the ones where there are 2, I want to keep those together, so I'm going to flatten by column. So we'll say 2 call of that, ignoring errors, and scan by column. So then we get the 10 twice, sorry, the 10 of spades twice, the 10 of hearts once, queen of clubs once, the queen of hearts once, and the jack of diamonds never. Okay, starting to get somewhere. Now we just have to sort out the monstrously complicated logic. All right, so the points are relatively simple, but all right, let's break it down. Say from card, from joker, because you only ever add to the points. With the multiplier, you both add and multiply. That's a little more complicated. All right, so first thing, your base points for the hand type is 20, and then for each hand level above 1, you add another 20. So it's going to be base points plus hand level minus 1 times point level. So that's your 360 is your starting points. From the card is just going to be X lookup left of this in cards, card, returning from cards, points. But again, there's one thing to watch out for, which is the bonus also adds another 30. So we'll say plus 30 times right this equals B, and close brackets around that. Okay, so now we get 40 points for this card, 10 points for all the ones around it. Now from the joker, we've got, this is our array, which let's grab one that has a little more. 7. Okay, here's one that looks a little bit more interesting. So you got 2 of one of them and 1 of another. So what is the neatest way to do this? I did this a pretty complicated way the first time around. I think I can be a little neater. So I think what I'm going to do is make a quick lambda. So let's say I've got this card, and I've got this joker condition. Some space, so card, trigger, let's say. And mark those as inputs because I'm going to robot it. It's a little slow the first time I call it, but that's okay. So then we're going to say mid this sequence max of len of this and 1, 1. We're going to say search that in here. We're going to say is number. I'm going to wrap all of that in an or. Okay. And then we're going to save lambda as. And say OK. And we'll call the lambda joker check. Save. So the reason I'm doing this is because I've got a column array here, I've got a row array here, and so you can do simple operations like this on a column and a row and it'll naturally expand. But because I need to also split this one out into letters, I need a third dimension, and it will not work nicely with a third dimension unless we use map. The other thing is that if I just put two things together like this, that'll work fine, but map, sorry, I should say it'll work fine, meaning that under the hood, it will take this column and expand it into 3 copies of that, and it'll take this row and expand it into 4 copies of that going down, which is called broadcast. But if I try to map on these two things, and say concat, which should do the same thing, it doesn't. It errors out. So before I can apply map, I need to make them bigger. So I'm going to say if sequence, comma, columns of this, then that, which will make that wide. And similarly, we can say if sequence rows of this, then this, and that will make that tall. So these are then the two things that I want to compare. So I'll kill that, say map, first variable, second variable, and then the function is going to be joker check. And that will say, oh, it's saying true for a blank. That's not good. So I need to modify joker check to say if trigger equals blank, then false. Sorry, I can just say if trigger not equal to blank. And then the if omitted will give me false for the second argument. So save lambda. Okay, so now these are all false. See if we can find something where there are some trues. Okay, so here's a true. So we've got a wrathful joker which triggers on spade. So it triggers on this one, and then it triggers again on that one because it gets played a second time because it's stamped. Okay, good. So I'm just going to move this over here. I'll call it joker triggers. Okay, so then the points from the joker is just I'm going to take the joker triggers, multiply it by the score joker adds. So this joker gets triggered, but it doesn't add any points. It changes the multiple instead. So we can just biro sum that. Okay, so now we've got the number of points we get from the card, the number of points we get from the joker. So then we can just say scan this plus this, sum. So that's what happens to our thing. And now let's just go back to example 7 because then we can see if we're behaving right. So we should, at the end of the cards, our points should be 581. Let's see if that's indeed what's happening. So this is after the cards have been plugged. Yes. Okay, so our points should be 581, and our multiple then should be 400. Okay, the multiple is a little more complicated, and I might need a bit more space here. Let's see. Yes, let's get a bit more space. No, actually, sorry. Okay, so this is the one where it gets very, very complicated. So let's let's what? So it's gonna have to be a reduce. Sorry, a scan, but with a reduce, I think. So okay, our starting multiplier is the base multiplier plus the hand level minus 1 times the multiplier level, which is 4. So our starting multiplier is 48, and we'll still check that against the. Why does this keep going weird? Anyway, yes, starts off at 48. Good. Okay, so then for a given set of falses and trues, and for these values of add multiple times, I need to have something that will update this. So let's say lambda. Let's let starting value can be 48. The row can be this. Then I guess I'm going to want to reduce. Yeah, reduce the starting value. Sequence, comma, I don't need comma, columns of the row. And it's going to be lambda a v. So we're going to say if index row by v. So in other words, first I'm going to check the first joker, then the second joker, then the third joker, because you do have to go through them in the order they're listed. So you know, on the first round v will be 1, so I'll check this joker. On the second round v will be 2, I'll check this joker, and so on. So if the joker is triggered, then we're going to say a gets multiplied by index the multiplication factor by v, and add index that by v. Otherwise a. So then I put that up there for a second. That I think is not updating quite as it should. Is it supposed to end up at 192? No, it's supposed to end up at something bigger. Oh, right, and I know why. I know why, because there's also this. So I have to factor in the glass and mult cards. Okay, so first we're going to adjust for those factors. So we're going to say okay, I'm going to bring this inside. Times if that, then that, otherwise 1, and plus if that, then that, otherwise 0. Okay, but now the A on the inside is going to be first. Oops, no, I don't want to accept your correction. What did I do wrong? Stuffed up my brackets some way. So if opens here, closes there. All right, so I just need one less closing bracket. So that's all the same, good. But now this A is going to be, if it's a G, then we're going to double it, and if it's an M, then we're going to add 4. Okay, so times if right this equals G, then 2, otherwise 1, plus if right, wait, no, glass was, yeah, the glass is 2, the one that's called malt adds, okay. If right B10 equals m, then 4, otherwise 0. Okay, so now that doesn't change, that doesn't change, but this does change because now we're going to add 4 to it before the joker triggers and doubles it. So that, ooh, no, what? Huh? That does not look right to me. Oh, sorry. Yeah. No. Nope. These are in the wrong place because I'm applying these at every step of the reduce, and I should not be. I should only be applying them to the initial value. Actually, yeah, I can put it here, reduce from there. Okay. This is getting a little complicated, I will admit, but never mind. Okay. All right, so now we get to 400, which is what we're supposed to, but I want this to expand with the thing, so I'm going to try and make this into a lambda. So I'm going to go with row num and let that be 1 for a second. So then this will be index of this by row num 0. And then the card will be index of the cards by row num 1. Whoops, all right, didn't mean to move out of that. Okay, so then this will become CRD, this will become CRD, that reference and that reference stay the same, and yeah, okay, I think everything else works. So then I want to say lambda start and row num on this and 1. Okay, so now I've got a function, so I'm going to save lambda as, we'll call this mult update. And that is complicated as all heck, but ooh, wait, okay. Didn't like that. What's going wrong? Oh, seems to have added sheet name, and somehow that makes them not dynamic array references? That's weird. Okay. Oh, Copilot is here to help. Great. Now what? Ah. Okay, so just call that out and come here and say out. Sorry, let's come here and say CRD. That's erroring out. Really? Come on. G19 hash. Oh. Yeah, no. G19 hash. What? Oh, because G10. Why? Wait, sorry, I'm super confused. How have I? Sorry, I guess that's what it is. I must need to lock. I must not have locked things that I needed to lock. That's what it is. Okay, there we go. So now, no longer one card. I want out again. Oh my god. Save lambda. Okay, so now we should be able to scan this sequence rows of this mult update. Good. Happy days. So this is points. This is multiple. Okay. We haven't even started on the jokers yet. All right, so I think this part will actually be easier. Will it? I don't know. Let's see. So these are the jokers. So, So I need to think about, first let's just say is independent. And for that we can say x lookup this in Joker's, not Joker check, whoops, that's an unhelpful name to have added. In Joker, returning from Joker's independent equals independent. And we'll wrap that in a minus minus. Did I misspell independent? I'm pretty sure some of these is independent. Devious AAA plane. Devious. Yeah, that is independent. What? Right. Oh, sorry. I looked up the wrong column. I need activation. This is the independent trigger. Okay, sorry. Activation. There we go. So these are the ones that are independent. Then I guess triggered can be, so first we're going to call the thing that triggers it. So these are just some of the independents have a straightforward trigger, which is just you can search for this thing in the hand name. The rest have to be dealt with in a more complicated way. So we're going to say search. Sorry, we're going to say if that is blank, then 0. Otherwise, minus minus is number. Search that in hand type. Okay. All right. So finally, then, I'm ready, I think, to bring in these 3 columns. It's going to be a little complicated, so we're going to switch. Sorry, first we're going to say if it's independent and it's triggered, then x, not x lookup, we're going to say choose rows of Joker's score to mult times by x match this against Joker's Joker. Good. Then the else is going to be 0, 0, 1. So don't add anything, and multiply by 1, meaning no change. But that is for the regular ones. Then I need my 4 specials. So for the Jolly Joker, we're going to, 8 multiple is fine, but hand contains a pair. So this is where it gets a little complicated. So we're going to say switch. This is going to be our default case to cover everything else. We're going to switch this. It's the hand type. So if it's the Jolly Joker, then we'll do something. If it's the baseball, baseball card, we'll do something. I guess I can just take both of these together and define that and clean up a little. If it's the raised fist, we got to do something, and if it's the swashbuckler, we got to do something, and otherwise all this stuff. So, one at a time. If it's the Jolly Joker, so it's going to be errors for a minute, but Jolly Joker is if it contains a pair. So if this, then, and what are we doing? We're adding 8 to the multiplier. So okay, so we'll just put that in the middle. So it's going to be H stack. So we add 0 to the points, we add 8 if there's a pair to the multiplier, and we multiply the multiplier by 1. Okay, next, baseball card. Uncommon jokers each give a 1.5x multiplier. Effect triggers after all cards are scored. Yes. Okay, so So for the baseball card, I need to count ifs. No, I don't actually have the type anymore. So the rarity, I guess it is. And for another one, I need the cell value. Okay, so cell value. So for the rarity, we'll XLOOKUP this in Joker Joker, returning from Joker rarity. And for the cell value, we'll XLOOKUP this in Joker Joker, returning from Joker's price. So that's the price to buy. Then the sell price is that divided by 2 and round up to 0 decimal places. Sorry. Round up? No, round down. So we can just say int. No need for comma 0. Okay. So for this one, then we'll say countifs. This is uncommon. And for the raised fist, no, is the raised fist? No, that's about the rank. For the swashbuckler, we want the cell value of all other jokers. So we'll say sumifs cell value where joker is not the swashbuckler. Okay, and for the raised fist, we want to add double the rank of the lowest ranked card in hand. Okay, card does not need a score, so we're interested in these cards, not these cards. So the lowest ranked cards, we're going to say min of X match. Oh, hang on, wait. Sorry, not of X match, min of X lookup. Yes, X lookup left of this in cards, card, returning from card, points. Okay, so finally, let's just grab these descriptions and put them here for a second while I finish writing this. So we've got that one working. Now the baseball card is going to be H stack. So give it 1x multiplier. So add no points, add no multiplier, and then 1.5 to the power of the number of uncommons. Okay, now the raised fist. And that is going to be, again, H stack. So it adds to the multiplier. So 0, something, and 1. And so what is the something? It adds just this number. Sorry, that's the lowest rank. So yeah, that times 2. Okay. And then finally, the swashbuckler adds this number to the multiple. Fine. So we'll say swashbuckler H stack 0, this number, and 1. And then all that other mess is my default. Okay. So that's what the jokers do, and then we also need to deal with the joker additions. So additions to call of this. I guess I'm just going to add a star to match the lookup table. And then this again will have score, mult add, and mult times. So we're going to choose rows of additions. I want from points to mult times by X match this against additions. Addition. No, sorry, I think it's called denoted. Yes, denoted. And if not found, because it'll error out on the first one. So the if error that, then I want row 1, which is the do nothing. Okay. So then finally, I want my points and I want my mult. So my points start off as, just to keep it down, oh, actually, there could be up to 10 cards here. I've got 5 there if everything was stamped. So let's just make some more space. And then the points only ever go up, so I could take the last one, but it's fine to just take the max. And likewise, the multiplier only ever goes up, so I can just take the max. Okay. And then I'm going to say, I could make this dynamic, but there's kind of 0 to 3 of, well, the null counts, so there's 1 to 3 of these. So I'm just going to say if this equals blank, then carry on. Otherwise, it's points plus the points you add here plus the points you add here. And so we end up at 731, and hopefully that'll match the example. Yes, 731, and we should end up at 906 multiple. So again, we'll say if this equals blank, then this, otherwise this. So first we multiply by the first multiple, then we add the first addition, and then we take all of that and multiply by the second multiple and add the second addition. 906! Whoa! Beautiful. Okay, so then finally, I didn't end up using this, so finally, almost finally, we will take the final points, multiply by the final multiple, get 662286, which is right. And then I think I'll have to make some adjustments for the earlier levels, but for now, let's just do this, see if it works. Column input cell is A1. So on level 1, this is, oh yeah, this is, the hand level is wrong. So in on level 1, there isn't a hand level given, but you treat everything as hand level 1. So I'm just going to adjust this for me to say max of this and 1. And then okay, why is 2 a calc? What? That's not good. What's the problem? Okay, let's call this out. And I want to see CNUM. Ooh, what? What's going on here? There's CNUM. Is that an op count? Is that an out? Is all of this stuff? Okay, so give me CNUM. Oh, sorry, it's just covered up by the thing. But those are NA. Fine. So let's just say if error. Can we say 0? I think that'll work. Okay. So now CNUM works. Does out now work? It does. Okay. All right. If this all works first time, it'll be some kind of miracle. I mean, even though I have built this before, but on my first pass, I had to do much debugging of individual odd cases after I'd built it. So let's see. Of B53. Woo! Got the easiest level. All right. All right. Looking good. Looking great. Not gonna lie, of all the videos, I was not expecting this to work in one take. And I say that even knowing, oh yes, I forgot. You got to int because sometimes with the 1.5x multiple, you end up. Okay, 2 wrong. I will take that for sure. And why does this, my data tables are really behaving badly at the moment. That calc thing. Anyway, okay. So that is 1,000 points. Woo! Okay. All right, let's do the bonuses quickly. Bonuses 3, 4, and 5 are all you unlock a new kind of deck, the plasma deck. This time you average the points and the multiplier before multiplying them together. So we're going to say average of points and the multiplier squared, and again we're going to take the int of that. Seriously, what is... There we go. Okay. Then I guess I need to XLOOKUP this in the level number, which is column C. No, sorry, column B. Returning from case column C. As is the level. So all the plasma deck questions are just what's the best score you can get on a given level. So it would say max ifs of plasma deck score where level number is these numbers. Sweet. Okay, and finally, how many aces in total did the player have, and what's the total point value of all the cards? All right, so the aces, I'm just going to say sum, oops, not sum of, to exclude the examples, I'm just going to multiply it by is number of the column. Times left of this, these 5 columns, up to 53 as well. Sorry, another bracket there. Left of that equals A. That works, good. Okay, and then what is the total point value of all the cards selected by the player? Don't forget about the rock, the bonus, the stamped cards. Okay, so so we're going to XLOOKUP left of all that stuff in cards, card, returning from cards, points. Sorry, if not found 0, because there'll be a bunch of weird, like in-betweeny bits, like empty things here and so on. Okay, then we need to, that already deals with the rock, so we need to deal with the bonus, and we need to deal with the stamped. So, times right of this, sorry, let's say times 1 plus right of that equals S. So we'll double it if it's stamped, plus 30 times right of that equals B. And again, that needs to be in brackets. No, I do not want your typo corrections. I think I'm just missing a closing bracket. Yes! Okay. So it'll give you a sense of what this case is like, that my do-over with all of the model pre-planned, a bunch of metadata additions already made, still took me almost an hour, and that my reaction to that is not, oh man, went really slow and took an hour. It's like, oh my god, I got it done in an hour and got it right. I'm really happy with that. This is a very, very, very hard case, but it's also just a super fun case. So yeah, thank you, Grant, for sharing that. And that's all I got for today. That's all I got for Free Case Week. Next week is FMWC, so I'm probably going to be going to Project Finance School. And you are welcome to join me there. I'll see you next time.